Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the lunch table. I am your host, Ben Houselog, a.k.a. Ben Likes Sports, a.k.a. my fantasy team is 1-4. Somebody, please help me. And it is Tuesday, and a lot has transpired since we dropped our last episode a cool 20 hours ago on Apple Podcast, on Spotify. Finally got listed, I think, this morning. And a lot really has happened. I mean that sincerely. You had a Monday Night Football game in which the Chiefs and the Saints squared off. Early this morning, Robert Saleh got fired from the New York Jets, and my DMs are absolutely going wild because of a video I made about California and Miami. All of that is coming up in a moment, so pull up a seat to the lunch table, and let's get into it. Starting off on Monday night, the Chiefs and the Saints played in a game where the Chiefs won 26-13. Patrick Mahomes, 331 yards and a pick, and I hate to say it, because I was rooting for the Saints, man. They may have tricked us. Maybe their first two games was not a product of a very good team, but playing very bad defenses. The Cowboys and the Panthers, who we all know is a superpower. I do think that Clint Kubiak is a fantastic OC. He was drawing up some great plays last night. Derek Carr is not consistent. The entirety of the Saints, their defense is consistently good. Their offense is not consistent. They will either have the greatest 65-yard throw you have ever seen right into the fingertips of Rashid Shaheed, or they will throw a screen pass 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Alvin Kamara, since he's a dog, will make 7 guys miss, and they will still lose yards on the play. They can't really establish a run game, and their pass game is very inconsistent. Chris Olave last night had 1 target. Now, a lot of people are going to be like, oh my gosh, Clint Kubiak can't scheme his guys open? Derek Carr can't hit a receiver? No. For the casual, that may be it. But for all of you guys, and if you're listening to this podcast, I know you know ball, it's Trent McDuffie, man. The Chiefs are constantly getting underrated with how good their defense is. If you're 5-0 in the NFL, you can't have a bad defense. You can't. That's why the Chiefs are 5-0, and that's also why the Vikings are sadly 5-0. Sorry, I have to hear Vikings fans every single day since I went to college, which a majority of Vikings fans, I'm 5-0, your team's 3-2. I don't care. My team has a ring. That's what I always have to go back to, the ring argument. I'm a Packers fan. We throw it back to the 60s, Super Bowl 1, 2, and 3. We'll throw it back to before the forward pass was even a thing if I need to win this argument. That's just how I am. One more thing. Last night, we also had one of the best plays that you will ever see in any NFL game. We saw a big man pick in the end zone, and he did not knee it. He did not kneel the ball. He took it out 40 more yards. This dude was running like he's played running back before. He had it high and tight. He made a couple guys miss, and he even tried to hurdle his own guy when it fell down. It was one of the greatest things I've ever seen. The pleasure that hits my brain, the dopamine that gets released when I see someone who doesn't ever get the football have the football drop in their fingertips. I was screaming for this man like he was my own teammate. I almost stood up on my couch and started screaming, go, 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 because he was cooking. That was someone who has definitely fantasized about that before, and that's fantastic. Chiefs, 5-0. They always find a way. Rashee Rice out, Pacheco out, people banged up. They always find a way. Patrick Mahomes does not look as good as he has been in years past, but he doesn't need to be as good as he has been in years past because he has Andy Reid drawing up insane plays. Juju Smith-Schuster, 7 catches, 130 yards. You don't need a massive wide receiver 1 in Kansas City. You have Andy Reid. He's going to scheme people open. Patrick Mahomes can hit open guys. He honestly probably should have had a couple touchdowns last night, but the Saints, smartly, in my opinion, just tackled the receivers. They're just like me for real. If someone ever got behind me when I was playing football, I'm tackling you. I am tackling you. If I see any instant that I might get scored on, I'm tackling you. Or if it's basketball and you drive by me, I'm grabbing you. I'm fouling you. That should have been a better, I should have said that a little bit better. But the Chiefs are once again Super Bowl contenders. That's fantastic. And I hate to say it because last year I wasn't on the T Swift hype train. I was a little annoyed. You can tell how she's getting into football now. She's standing up. She's going crazy. I respect it, man. As someone who also stands up and screams at my TV, I respect standing up and screaming from a box. They're not going to hear you, but you don't know that. You feel it in the chest. Anyways, Chiefs win, 13-point victory. I mean, they controlled the game. Harrison Butker was phenomenal kicking the ball. He missed one, but he hit the other, was it 4 or 5? Something like that. It was over 4 at least. He's a dog. I was playing against him in fantasy. Well, there is a reason I am 1-4. Anyways, this morning it was announced that Robert Saleh has been fired after a 2-3 start. Everybody around the league, there is a million people on social media right now going absolutely crazy. I can't believe they fired Robert Saleh. Why would they fire a coach that went 2-3? Maybe because they just lost an embarrassing game. And people don't know this. The Jets owner was not the one that hired him. Woody Johnson was working in the government for whatever presidential administration he was in. Whatever. I'm not paying attention there. I don't care enough. This man did not hire the coach. And the coach started performing bad, to his fault or not to his fault. And the coach got let go. The way they did it was insane, though. They said Robert Saleh came in fired up to prepare for the Bills. Now, if you don't know, if they beat the Bills next week, they are first in the division. If they beat the Bills. So Robert Saleh knows, hey, we have to get it going here. He walks in, gets fired. They said security escorted him out. I don't know. I mean, did he get mad and have to get escorted out? Maybe. Is it just a usual thing? I don't know. I've never been fired as a head coach of an NFL franchise. I've never been in the NFL. Maybe in a couple dreams. Maybe in a couple stories I wrote in elementary school I was in the NFL. But he got escorted out. You know, it is what it is. I think he's a very nice guy. I think he's a great defensive mind. He wasn't that great of a head coach, but at the same time, he did not have all the tools that you need to be successful in a football team. His offense was lackluster, and to some of his fault, though, because you also hire the offensive staff, but he also didn't expect the star quarterback, one of the greatest of all time, to come in, tear his Achilles, and then in the offseason, trip out on drugs so bad that he saw a shadow man and wasn't here for the majority of the offseason. That, you can't really plan for that. But you knew what you were getting. Everyone on Twitter right now or X, is talking about, well, Aaron Rodgers made this decision. I can't believe he's doing this to a franchise. Who would have thought? Me! I would have thought. I'm a Packers fan. Brother, every single offseason, I had to wonder, is Aaron Rodgers going to hang up the cleats? Is he going to request a trade? What is Aaron Rodgers going to do? Is he going to go into the jungle and look for the forbidden chocolate with a machete and open up a chocolate factory with Oompa Loompas? Like Willy Wonka? I don't know. I had no idea what he was doing. So I would just sit back and prepare for the worst. That's what I would do. Jets fans, you guys are probably there. You guys understand. I don't understand your guys' pain. I understand the annoyance that comes with having a diva as a quarterback, but I also understand that you put up with the diva because he will have some games where you are like, yeah, this dude is the best quarterback of all time. Now, one thing I will say, as soon as Robert Saleh got fired, Mekhi Becton, the old Jets tackle, went to his Instagram and posted the meme of the guy who went to his hater's funeral. And if you guys don't know the meme, it's a guy standing crossed in a suit, looking fresh, looking fly. So fresh and so clean. Shout out to Outkast. And he said, pulled up to my biggest hater's funeral just to make sure he was dead. Crazy work. Mekhi Becton tweeted it or posted it on Instagram and then immediately took it down. So you can think he's not on the Jets anymore, so maybe there's a little bit of bad blood there, that maybe Saleh didn't have the locker room. Anyways, everyone came around saying, oh my gosh, Saleh got fired. Nathaniel Hackett is going to be interim head coach. They put a stop to that right away. Ulbrich, the defensive coordinator of one of the best defenses in the league, is now the interim head coach. I think that's a great move for the Jets. I understand everyone's going to say, Ben, what do you think about Saleh getting fired? I think that you do what your 40-year-old quarterback tells you to do. You make a push for the Super Bowl right now. This isn't a rebuild. This isn't some, we'll get him next year. No, this is this year or not. I'm telling you, over the next few weeks, not years, let me calm down a little bit. The Jets are going to do drastic things. Like I said yesterday on the pod, they need to shake it up like crazy. It's not working. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Number one, Aaron Rodgers just threw 3 picks. Awful, awful game. Number two, I love Allen Lazard. He is a great receiver. He is not a receiver two. You need to get someone else. Mike Williams is looking better and better, but you need to get Devontae Adams. Go out and get Devontae Adams. That way, Garrett Wilson is now one-on-one all the time. Braylon Allen and Breece Hall are a great running back 1-2 punch. And if you get Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams, Allen Lazard, Mike Williams, you then can spread people out. That's one less person in the box for you to either A, put your finesse back, your receiving back, one of the best in the league in Breece Hall, give him the rock, or your 20-year-old sledgehammer. Gosh, he's 20, dude. What am I doing with my life? I'm unemployed, talking to a microphone at 11:57 a.m. Sorry, I had to reflect for a second. You put the sledgehammer and you make him run over everybody. Just that. It's really just that. That's all it takes is one big player, one X factor on the outside changes absolutely everything. If you just think about it, it's easy to game plan for the Jets. Garrett Wilson, you lock him down, you make Allen Lazard beat you. Okay. There we go. Now Devontae Adams is in. You double Devontae Adams, okay. Now you're one-on-one with Garrett Wilson. That's not going to go well. You double Wilson and Adams, okay. Now you have 7 guys in the box. Max, it's not going to work. 2 safeties over the top of both. Now you have Allen Lazard running in the middle. Tyler Conklin running in the middle. Breece Hall coming out of the backfield. You throw a screen. Mike Williams, jump ball menace. It's getting there. The Jets will be there, I assume, if everyone stays healthy. Sure, the offensive line cannot protect. But once again, if you bring in another receiver, guess what you can't do? You can't blitz as many guys as you usually do. If you do, then you are blitzing one of the best quarterbacks of all time, the smartest quarterback of all time, the best decision-making quarterback of all time, by far. His touchdown to interception ratio is ridiculous. It will never be seen again. You are now taking another blitzer out of the pass defense scheme and letting him pick it apart. Pick your poison if they get Devontae Adams. They need to get Devontae Adams. And they need to sign Hassan Reddick. You already have a guy go out with an Achilles injury on your pass rush. You need Hassan Reddick. Devontae Adams and Max Crosby, if they get that, first of all, New Jersey is going to blow itself up with excitement. Shout out Chief Keef if that happens. But the Jets will be fine. I think that this is just a desperation move. If they had a younger quarterback, Saleh would probably be able to keep coaching this year. But they don't. They have a 40-year-old who's angry at the way he's been playing. And a team that maybe it feels like in the locker room, we need to start winning games now or it's done. Maybe players are starting to quit. That's a common theme sometimes in locker rooms. The players get a couple bad losses. They throw up their hands. Okay, I'm done. I'm going home. I'm done with this. Contracts come into play. A lot of different stuff comes into play. So what you need to do is make sure that you can wrangle it all in and set people on pace. That's what you need to do. So I think the Jets will be fine. They could have gone about it a little better. You know, maybe let him know after the game instead of 2 days after as he comes into work ready to hit a divisional matchup that could possibly put him number 1 in the division. That probably would have been a better way to go about it. But it's an NFL owner. I don't really expect the most class out of NFL owners. Anyways, going into the college football recap, I understand it's Tuesday. That's a crazy time to do a recap. My DMs are absolutely blowing up right now. Not in a good way. I have been called every single name in the dictionary, all because I said that Miami targeted Cal. That is, the Miami Hurricanes have the worst fan base I've ever seen in my life. Respectfully, of course. Because I'll pray for those people. That's ridiculous that you are sending me threats about my life because he obviously targeted him. I said later in the video, I said, look, a 25-point lead doesn't disappear without the refs. That is true. I remember watching this game. I have a screenshot of me texting my old receivers coach, Miami's going to come back and win this. And they did. Nowhere in that video did I say the refs gave Miami the game and said, here you go. I'm saying investigate the refs FanDuel because that happening 2 weeks in a row is ridiculous. The Hail Mary against Virginia Tech, right? That's one thing. Everyone's saying, oh, he didn't catch it. It wasn't very conclusive and you called it a touchdown on the field. That's all I'm saying, man. That's all I'm saying. I'm not throwing stones. I'm not even going to talk about it anymore. But when you get into the business, I say business, when you get into the fun of creating sports content, you have to have thick skin, as I am thickening my skin right now. Because if you criticize someone's beloved team, they will call you every name in the book, say that you are worthless, and yeah, I'm going to leave it there. You guys can use your imagination as to what has been happening. Don't worry, though. I mean, I find it hilarious. I have to bite my tongue not to respond. And I just pray for those people because that's ridiculous that you would say that to someone that you don't even know. Now, Bama lost to Vanderbilt. Everyone was shocked by this. Me personally, I'm going to be honest, I was not shocked by this. Vanderbilt is a good team. Diego Pavia is a good quarterback. I watched their first game against Virginia Tech. Now, going into this game, everyone thought Kyron Drones in Virginia Tech. They thought Drones was a sleeper for Heisman, and Virginia Tech was a sleeper for the ACC. And it was a great back-and-forth game. Vanderbilt won it. They then went into Columbia, Missouri, and almost beat the Tigers. Should have beat the Tigers. They really should have. They kind of let it slip away, and then they missed a kick. But then they finally got back to home turf with Alabama. This wasn't some Vandy team that was bad. This is a Vandy team that a lot of people were excited about. People in Nashville were excited about this Vanderbilt team. They showed out because they believed that they could beat Bama. Bama came off one of the biggest wins in that program's history one of the biggest wins in program history. I'll say it right now. Even though it wasn't a natty, that's a huge win. On the national stage, coming back from down 28. Yeah, that's a big win. Or defending a comeback from down 28. Kalen DeBoer got outcoached. Bama loosened up just a little bit. And in the SEC and Power 5 football, I under no circumstance do I think Alabama walked in there like, yeah, we got this game. I think they knew that was a good Vanderbilt team. But I think they just had they did not have any urgency to come out and just get this game. Milroe tossed a pick six. Vandy was running all over them. And we've all seen 13 on Alabama. I know his name, but I'm not going to put a college kid on blast unless I'm praising him. He lost his cool. You can't have that. Kalen DeBoer kind of let it slide too. I understand you have passion and stuff like that, but you're kicking the ball. You're throwing your mouth guard. I understand the game was already over. You're jamming a quarterback's head into the ground. Everyone's saying it's not that big of a deal. It happens, but that will affect his draft stock. That will definitely affect his draft stock. People don't understand how in-depth the background checks of the NFL are. They know everything about you. They talk to everyone about you. It gets ridiculous. After that game, though, I have no choice but to crown Texas the king of the SEC for now. Even with Quinn Ewers out. I still think it's Texas. And that's impressive to me because when I saw their running backs go down at the start of the year, I was like, oh my gosh, they don't have a running game. But it's Texas. Steve Sarkisian is a brilliant mind. Ole Miss has lost. Georgia's lost. It's Texas, and it's Texas's to lose. And I think it's always been that, but now it's more apparent. Arkansas beat Tennessee. I thought that was going to be a blowout. I thought that Tennessee was going to blow them out. I didn't even watch the game until the end. Hand up, I'll admit it. I thought, you know what? Tennessee is rolling so well. Their defense is so good. Their running game is so good. And it just took a little bit too long for Tennessee to get going. Quarterback had a really bad mistake at the end. He's a young guy. They were up number 4. And that's the thing in the SEC. You drop one game, it's over. It's tough. Not over, but it's close. It's semi-over because you are going to have to play 4 more ranked teams if you're lucky. If you're lucky, it's 4 ranked teams. Might play 6. I don't understand. But that's college football for you. And another thing. Back to the Cal and Miami game. I got to take off my glasses for this one because my glasses are bugging me. You make a video about any team and people automatically assume that your favorite team is the one that lost. Brother, I'm a fan of the Iowa Hawkeyes, who got beat 35-7 by Ohio State. You know, it happens. Why would I care if Cal or Miami lost? I just like watching good football. And that game was a good football game that the refs were kind of crazy about. That was a clear targeting call. I do understand them not calling it, though. It is a very crazy moment. Michael Irvin was doing cat-cows on the sideline, arching his back on all fours for the Miami Hurricanes, which is crazy. You have game day there. The whole atmosphere has been blown up. It's almost 3 a.m. on the East Coast. I am almost having bobby pins through my eyelids to keep my eyes open. You never want to leave the game up to the refs. That's what Cal did. You're up 25, you're running the ball well, and then all of a sudden it just starts slipping away. And they let it slip away. You deserve to lose. Even though there was a targeting call that would have given you the W, you deserve to lose if you don't step down. You look at it at any single level of football. It's time and time again. If you let someone hang around or come back, they will beat you. Look at the Falcons. 3-2. I said it on the last pod. Alabama was lucky to beat Georgia. Ryan Williams, that play was fantastic. But they were lucky to beat Georgia. They let them come back into it. If they step down and they beat Georgia in a very convincing way, I guarantee they don't lose to Vandy. But they threw that ball to Ryan Williams. He made the spin move. He also made a very good play against Vandy. You start to feel a little bit like, okay, we can afford to be in a game here because we can just toss it up to our best receiver and he'll make a play, which is a great luxury to have. But you don't want to rely on that. So it gets a little crazy. It gets a little out of whack the way you go through a college football season. Michigan lost to Washington. That one, Washington was favored. I wasn't really surprised to see that. Minnesota beat USC. That one was crazy because Minnesota had just gotten walloped by Iowa on the ground. Walloped by Iowa on the ground. I thought, you know what, Minnesota's done. Kudos to them. That is how you come back. After a blowout at home against a rival, you come back and you beat the number 11 team in the nation, led by one of the best offensive minds. That's Big Ten football, man. USC wasn't ready for that. Lincoln Riley tried to flee from the SEC, got put in the Big Ten. Messed around, he found out. With all that being said, it's time to look at the Heisman debate. As it stands, there are 3 clear-cut people who could win the Heisman. There is one above all else. We'll get to that in a moment. The first one is Cam Ward. Obviously, he almost lost to Virginia Tech. He almost lost to Cal. But he always finds a way. The way he plays football is very nonchalant. It's a very interesting way to watch football. He doesn't speed himself up. But he does make some very questionable decisions. He threw across his body straight to the Cal safety, who took it back for 6. Start of the third quarter. There's like 13 minutes left in the third. But then he responded. He's unflappable. Also, shout out Xavier Restrepo. He needs his respect. The second Heisman candidate is none other than Travis Hunter. Everyone thought Colorado was going to have a little rough start to the season. They won a thriller against Baylor, last-second Hail Mary, went into overtime. Travis Hunter punched the ball out on the goal line. Not even punched it out, he just hit it out. He hit Stick Buddy. Now they go into UCF when UCF is favored by like 12 points and throttle them. It was a throttling. Travis Hunter had a touchdown. He also had a pick. He's everywhere. You have to look at him for Heisman. Now, you obviously have to see Colorado win the gauntlet of their schedule. I say the gauntlet, it's not that bad, but it's going to be the roughest part of their schedule. The Big 12 has been a little underwhelming this year, to say the least. And then, obviously, the number one guy who I think should win the Heisman if he even remotely stays close to on pace for what he's about to do is Ashton Jeanty. And he's ethical. Ashton Jeanty is an ethical football player. He doesn't stay in the second half. Against Utah State, he had 3 touchdowns, almost 200 yards, and he did not play the second half. Portland State, same exact story. He didn't play the second half. One thing, though, everyone's giving love to Ashton Jeanty, as they should. Give some love to that O-line. Give some love to that offensive coordinator. He's a dog, dude. Ashton Jeanty is a bowling ball. He runs hard, but he also runs fast. He's a power back. He's like the perfect running back for Boise State. And he also turned down NIL to stay at Boise State. He should win the Heisman. I don't know. Actually, let me look this up. When was the last Group of 5 Heisman? When was the last non-Power 5 Heisman? Reggie Bush, Devontae Smith. No, that's not it. That's not it. We're going to go into the 70s at least, because anything else. Stanford, Auburn, Nebraska, Penn State, Ohio State, Pittsburgh. That's ACC. Oh my gosh. You could say Houston, Andre Ware, Ty Detmer, BYU, but we're going to go a little bit more. We'll go 2000 and on. Yeah, there has not been, in 25 years at least, a non-Power 5 Heisman winner. And you look at it now, Houston, BYU, Big 12 schools. I'm going through the Heismans right now, and I can't really find one that isn't a Power 5 school today. Syracuse, ACC. Joe Bellino, Navy. There you go. Shout out Army and Navy. The Army-Navy game with playoff implications is absolute cinema. We might see our first Group of 5 winner. The Mountain West Conference. One more Google search. Has the Mountain West Conference ever won a Heisman? And the closest that anyone ever came was legendary Alex Smith from Utah. But here's the thing, Utah's in the Big 12 now. Utah is depending on Cam Rising, they could be in the playoffs. But Ashton Jeanty should, without a doubt, be the Heisman. If the Heisman was today, he should be unanimous Heisman. I don't care that he plays in the Mountain West Conference. I do not care. Right? Obviously, you're going to have to look at, if Miami goes undefeated, the undefeated Power 5 quarterback. If Alabama goes 11-1, you're going to have to look at Jalen Milroe. Quinn Ewers is probably out of it, similar to Trevor Lawrence in the COVID season, because he didn't play as many games. But even then, that COVID season was Devontae Smith, so they kind of got it right there. But Ashton Jeanty should, without a doubt, be the Heisman if it ended today. And that, my friends, will be the end of episode 2 of the Lunch Table Podcast. Don't forget to spread the word, man, about the unemployed former Division II walk-on receiver trying to talk about sports. I obviously have the credentials, as I just listed. I actually looked, and we have 10 downloads, which is absolutely crazy, and I am very thankful for all 10 of you who downloaded. All 10 are probably my family members. So if my family members are listening to this, I love you, and thank you. Other than that, if you guys could be so kind as to follow the show on Apple or Spotify, I'm going to make a YouTube channel and upload the videos, which is just me talking to a microphone. And other than that, if you could give me a 5-star review, or just an honest review. If you don't like the show and you listened for 31 minutes out of pure hatred, I respect the commitment, and feel free to do that. But if you guys could give me a 5-star review, I would appreciate it. You know, I'm trying to make this my full-time job, as I don't have a job right now. But other than that, that is all I got. I hope you guys have a great day or night whenever you are listening/watching this. And Jesus, he loves you. Have a great one.